I would also say on this, it's time to stand up for the United States. Putin says the United States is a parasite. This is wrong. I'm sorry, Putin. Think again. Wall Street is a parasite, but if you look at the U.S. economy, let's just look at U.S. food production. The U.S. family farm, the grain and the corn that the U.S. produces is the basis of the entire world food market. It's the only thing that's preventing whole zones of the world from going into absolute famine and genocide. So let's not overdo it on the U.S. parasitism. Wall Street is a parasite. There's no doubt about that. But there's also a productive economy here, which we could...
Wall Street is the parasite that's grown globally powerful from sucking our blood. It's the too big to fail, instead of it telling us that we are bankrupt and we are scum and jumping on this global bandwagon. We have to expose that they are the parasites.
The other thing is the Chinese. Now, there is this ratings agency, which is sort of a fly-by-night operation. I don't know what it is. Is it a Tong? Is it a branch of the People's Liberation Army? I don't know who they are. I don't like their ratings agencies any more than I like the ones here. It's time for China to butt out of the internal affairs of the United States. I don't want to hear advice from the Chinese about what kind of genocidal budget cuts we need to have. No, sorry. And those crybabies, they should think now, if they went into the market and bought U.S. Treasury bonds, you know very well if you buy a bond in the market, it's a marketable bond. It goes up and down. It fluctuates. You can't come crying to say, oh, I made an investment and then it went down. Too bad. That was a very foolish
Well, by
decision.
bad-mouthing the investment, they're only devaluing their previous investment, and that's what's so scary about this.
Yeah.
As the U.S. goes under, if people think Greece is sucking Europe down, if the U.S. goes under, we are looking at a total worldwide depression.
Again, I would not blame Greece. This is not Greece. This is an attack by the hedge fund hyenas, organized in a conspiratorial meeting in a Manhattan townhouse.
But Webster, I wasn't blaming Greece. I'm saying if people think Greece and the bankers robbing it is causing problems in Europe, imagine what the U.S. going under would look like.
Okay, now, just in terms of that Italian judge, right, Ruggiero, he's doing things. Now, speaking of the Greeks have just banned short selling in the Athens stock market for the next 2 months. This is the wave of the future. In other words, when you're attacked by speculators and their ratings agencies and this whole cabal of financial interests, you got to fight back. The modern state has to fight back. One of the things you could say is, isn't S&P and aren't these ratings agencies really a supranational institution? Could the United States not defend itself using something like the Trading with the Enemy Act? I've talked about the need to start a new Tea Party, and the TEA in my Tea Party is Trading with the Enemy Act, which allows you to then say, look, we're being attacked. Our markets and our economic life.
By the way, this is something bombs can't even do. It's so destructive. They are attacking us. The people that AAA rated, known crud, totally run by the mega banks, are now doing this so they can prey upon us even more. It is absolutely, the Federal Reserve is an enemy operation. This whole thing is an outside financial paramilitary takeover, and I say arrest all of them right now for sedition and attempted overthrow of this country.
I think that's what it is. We are just the country is under attack, and at that point, you've got to essentially do what you need to do. Now, the other thing is, what may these characters be preparing next? We have the following situation: Greece, Portugal, and Ireland are already receiving European bailouts from this crazy fund. Very misguided fund, should not have been done.
Which is our money again, but then we get blamed for everything.
Well, yeah, I don't know. That's not quite so clear cut, but it's a lunatic policy. But this means that the speculators have turned away from the original trio of Greece, Portugal, and Ireland, at least for the moment. They had then lifted and shifted to Italy and Spain, starting on July 11th, especially with Italy, and then crescendo last week. At the moment, they seem to be looking, as one guy on CNBC was saying this morning, the sharks, the hedge fund hyenas, are looking for new victims, and who might that be? The probable sequence is something like this. First comes Belgium. Of the northern European countries, the one with the most vulnerable bond markets is Belgium. And again, if there are any Belgian government officials listening in, guys, ban credit default swaps now. Ban shorting of your government bonds, and you will protect yourself. After Belgium, France. And now you're striking at the very heart of the European Union, the French-German relation. So if the French come under this attack, I think even with a no-goodnik like Sarkozy in power, something is going to have to give. And somebody in Europe is going to have to say, are we just going to sit here and be raped? Or are we going to fight back? And we'll see, right? They may lie down, play dead, roll over, whatever it is, or they may fight back. And the
fight Webster
takes the form of the ban on credit default swaps.
Do 5 more minutes with us ahead of Nomi Prinz joining us. Webster, Tarpley, tarpley.net. I'm Alex Jones with Infowars.com. You ain't seen nothing yet. A report I never even got to in the last 2 hours. I now have to read my own reports at drudgereport.com. You go to drudgereport.com, up there in the very top links, as it shows Obama-geddon taking place. Investors flee. China dollar to be discarded by the world. Pollster, Americans are pre-revolutionary. That's an Infowars.com Paul Joseph Watson article. S&P, 1 in 3 chances U.S. will fall another notch. Moody's threatens. Limbaugh, Obama, debt man walking. Gold smashes all records. Bank of America hammered. And if you scroll down on drudgereport.com, you can read Barackalypse now. Webster Tarpley, I know that I start frothing, but that's what Exciting Talk Radio does anyways. I don't do it on purpose and interrupting constantly because we're in such trouble. But I am completely freaked out. I mean, I'm not just up here saying we're in deep trouble, because it's fun to do on radio. I mean, this is happening worse and faster than I thought. I want to have you back up in the next few days to do a whole hour on what's happening and also solutions. But briefly in the time we've got left, Webster, I know that you are a learned man who I respect. And I've done a lot of research myself, so I know bona fide when I see it. And I believe in a lot of your solutions. Once we've gotten to this collectivist system, there's only one way to extricate yourself out, and that isn't pay everything to the bankers. I get all that. But they're not going to do what you've said. They're not going to do what other economists have warned about. They're not going to do what Dr. Roberts talks about with truly investing in domestic production. That's not happening. So with the runaway crazies we've got running things, and bankers who said they wanted to implode this country to consolidate it, where are they taking us? Where are we going to be next week, a month from now, a year from now, if we don't change course?
Well, I would say, first of all, on the Euro side, there's going to be a concerted attempt to escalate the Euro crisis between now and the end of the month of August. Because, again, this is the month when everybody in southern Europe, be it Italy, Spain, Bavaria, right, any place that's Catholic, by about August 15th, they shut down just about completely. Germany, somewhat the same thing, even in the northern parts. So you have very low volumes in these bond markets. Perfect time for the hedge fund hyenas from New York and London to come in and make their attacks using credit default swaps. So look for the attack on the euro will escalate. And again, Belgium and then France. And then it's at the point that France comes under attack, I hope people realize this is indeed a world economic depression. That's their side. Now, on the U.S. side, remember, the depression comes in 3 waves, right? 1929 is a crash, 1931 a European banking crisis. Then it comes back to the U.S. as a terminal banking panic, 1932, 1933. So we're now in the second wave of the current depression. But you can already see what the third wave, or whatever it's going to be called, the third wave looks like. Banking crash here. Take a look at the bank stocks today, as you say, led by Bank of America with these other places, Genworth, Citibank. Look at those European banks I mentioned before, but in particular the U.S. ones and the British ones. Look for something dramatic to happen there. Who is the next Lehman Brothers? Who is the next Bear Stearns? There are lots of candidates. Again, just pick up any website about the bank stocks, and you'll see
the
lots
Super
of
Congress has the power to give them more zombie bank bailouts now.
Right. Well, that's the other thing is, why is this happening now? One of the things is the Obama stimulus, rotten as it was, still had some effect, and QE2, rotten as that was, at least propped up the the zombie banks and the hedge fund hyenas. Now, the stimulus is over, the QE2 is over, and they're confronted with the fact that we're still in the Depression. The other thing is the Dodd-Frank FinReg was supposed to solve these problems. The Dodd-Frank FinReg from a year ago is an absolute obscene joke. It didn't do anything. Time to go back and have a real FinReg. But
all right, Webster.
Doing.
Thank you. We're going to have you back up in the next few days. I'll have Jaron talk to you right now about when is a good time to get you on for a full hour, so we can also take some calls. Nomi Prinz coming up to continue to look at this stock market plunge that's happening right now. Visit Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the sites, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.